Yo, watch me live at twitch.tv/King Kong. Hey y'all, I know it's been a while since I last uploaded anything related to Gladiator Gear Manager. This time of year recommended me to try out this game again, see if any changes made and give any feedback. So here we go. So when I loaded into the game, what I noticed so far is that it's very similar to since I last played, and you just buy three main units, which is the Knight, the Berserker, and the Archer. I prefer the Berserker the most for early game because they're really good for 1v1s. Other than that, you just buy items to boost their stats, but you don't really have to. So very similar to how I position my units normally. I want the Knight in the front and then whoever's doing damage in the back. This is mainly due to the Knight being able to block a lot of damage. And this way, the Berserker can dish out damage while surviving. And yeah, pretty standard. So one thing that they changed that wasn't there in the past is that you can actually give your units traits themselves rather than looking for them in the shop. It used to be like where you would look at the Gladiator, you would look at their traits, and you would look at their like bad traits if they have any, and then check the price and then compare that and see which one's better. Now you can choose any trait you want, and it's really cheap to be honest. And this is really beneficial because you can plan ahead what you're gonna do with these units. So my favorite is basically the one that is like staying at home or feeling at home. Anything that basically is like really good for farming for late game. So for the two traits that I mentioned earlier, it's practical learner and feeling at home. These two traits are really good for later on in the game, but one weakness that they have is they don't provide anything in the beginning. So if you're feeling really greedy and you think that you're gonna win your early fights, you invest into these two traits and you'll be able to basically just dominate later, or just like have a lot of value because you'll be keeping these units since they have that scaling, that potential, because these bonuses are a pretty big factor into like how much your units are giving. And just play around with this. It's an auto battler, and recently I've been playing a lot of TFT and it's very similar. Just strategize on what you think is the best. So I was on my run to test out a new trait on this warlock, and basically if they get too close to this guy, he's basically feared for like 5 seconds. So one thing to know is that make sure you position your units properly so they don't, have these side effects. So this could have costed me the fight because the warlock was like basically just running around the whole time. But, I still managed to win just because I have level advantage on them. But just make sure, position properly, read what it does. And also look at the scaling. Scaling is really important in this game for investing into the future and trying to win your fights. So the upgrade system is very similar to when I last played it, and it's really important to look at the scaling, especially for certain units. For example, Knights scale really well intelligence when it comes to blocking because it reduces the cooldown a lot. So you want to prioritize that at first, and then you also want to prioritize stamina, health, and strength, and just look at the fight and see how it goes. If the Knight needs more stamina to block, then get stamina points. If the Knight needs more health, then put more health. If the Knight needs to block more damage, then put in his strength. Just like that, and then you start scaling. Similar with the Archer, the same way. Mainly put points into agility and stamina. So whenever the Archer runs out of stamina, shoot, put it in stamina. If it needs more damage, agility. And if it's getting flanked a lot or getting like killed instantly, put it a little bit more into health. But that's about it. In terms of positioning, it's really straightforward. All you have to do is put your tanky units in the front, and then wherever units you're doing damage with, put them in the back. In this example, there was one unit that's level 6 and he's really strong, right? What I want to do is I want to put my Archer in an off angle so it shoots the back line first, and then start focusing on the front line later. And then you want to put the Berserker further in the back so he doesn't die, and then he can dish out damage as well. So early game positioning, this is what you do. One last thing to note about early game is these quests that you're reading, try to read them because they actually really matter at times because there are additional options. Like for example, this one with the pet cemetery, you can actually invest your resources to make money for later on. This is really good for, investing, because if you have money right now, might as well just invest. And this allows you to generate income for later stages in the game so you can afford more stuff, like more gladiators and all that stuff. So really important to look at the quests, try to read them. It also makes the gameplay a little bit more fun. So give it a try. and hopefully you find something new. Overall, this game is very, very, very recommended to those who play really casually and who wants to, experience the story, play the game, experiment with a lot of stuff, do a couple runs, have fun. Not really that competitive, you know what I mean? There's nothing to, for you to like try to be the best at. You're just trying to play the game and try to beat it. It's very similar to a story game, and it has certain aspects of, auto battles and stuff that makes it really fun for those who are looking to be a little more competitive and trying to min-max whatever. Like I mentioned earlier, I've only completed 4 out of 12 tournaments, and that's only 1/3 of the game, pretty much. I'm starting to reach the mid game. I'm starting to build more units. I'm still experimenting with the ones that I played before and haven't tried out the new ones. Maybe the new gladiators might, change up how I play it based on their traits and all these abilities that I have. And this game is really fun when it comes to, learning all that, what the gladiators do and their abilities, their scaling, all this stuff. It's really good for experimenting, and as well as like, strategizing, doing challenges, whatever you do, just for content. So the reason why I even, play this game in the first place is to find content that is, reachable to other people, since, big content out there like competitive, esports title games generally have really oversaturated content. These types of indie games provide, a way for you to have fun as well as engage with a smaller audience and reach out to them better. Because who knows how many, team tactic players there are in this like YouTube community compared to the ones in Gladiator Guild Manager. So if you stick around and you've watched my videos, you can see that I've changed a bit in terms of how I do my content as well as, how I play the game, especially this game. And then I will hopefully post and give you an update on my last few tournament runs and how I feel about this game once I completed it the second time, 2 years later, of course. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoy my content, be sure to like and subscribe, comment down below what you think. I will try my best to also upload the follow-up version, which is basically me completing from tournament 4 to the end, beating the game, and showing you how I beat it and what I feel about the game. This way you guys can learn from my experience without watching the whole gameplay. I know watching gameplay might be, is very tedious and boring at times. So I try to stay away from those. Rather, I just play the game on my stream and I just post what I think is optimal or what I experience with on YouTube. Lastly, when you're doing the tournaments, select the cards that you think you can do, as well as once you get 4 cards of the same type, that means you have a 100% chance of getting the card. So you don't need to do that card anymore. So what I do is I do 4 purple cards, purple, and then I do like how many ever left is blue. This way I can get both the universal item and the good, like powerful item. And this allows me to put it on my units and just scale. And this technique is just to, boost up your gameplay, make you better. And then since this is really like, this is on hard difficulty by the way, but it's you can revive your units and all that stuff. So it's easier. You don't have to like min-max your, strategy on how to survive and all that stuff. Just, position as best as you can. And then once you do it, put stats in where you need to do, like what your gladiators need, and then revive, rinse, repeat until you, unlock everything. Thanks for watching and peace out.